I think back to the point of owning your career. I think a lot of times, even just from my experience in interacting with a lot of new hires, right, that's fresh out of college, there's no formula, right, about if I do A, B, C, will I get to the next level. I think part of that is figuring out ways that will allow you to stand out. What is your brand? There's always been a question of what is your brand? How do you stand out, right? How do you be proactive in terms of stepping up and say, hey, this is something I may know 50%, but I know I can learn and I can take this on, right, and do this and work on this challenge. So I think for me, that was something that I should have done maybe earlier on, which I learned now later as, you know, in my career at Cisco. Because I've always thought if I do my job well and I can execute, right, things will come. That works for some time, I think, as you are stepping into early in career, but more and more is you're gonna be able to, you need to be able to differentiate yourself, right? And figure out what is it about you, what are you passionate about, and how does that transcend right through the work that you do. That is what differentiates you from the rest of the folks.
And I'll add just one last piece on that. I absolutely agree to what you said there. And I think, what can you do to make it very easy for your manager to advocate on your behalf? Like, you should make it very easy for them to know how you're differentiated, what is your value add, because in every function, every organization, there is someone like you, and you want to make sure that you stand out. Most importantly, so that they're considered for other opportunities. So I think exactly what you said, you know, growing up, and, you know, especially in our cultures, growing up and you do a good job, then they'll reward you. And in a corporate, the bigger the company, it's the more the competition, but more so it's just, it's everyday people get lost in the shuffle. You become a number because there's so many people. So what can you do to differentiate yourself so you have the opportunities to be asked? Also, always be open to opportunities. So whether it's a stretch assignment, whether it's a rotation, just consider exploring any and all opportunities. I think in looking back for myself, I would have the opportunity when I was younger to travel to another country and maybe do some kind of, you know, working at another site or anything. Just expanding your I like to call it your toolkit is something that you should take advantage of. The more you can do, the more time you have to just add and have a bigger resume.
Yeah, I would add passion to that, right? I mean, as Jyoti called out, compassion. If you find something that you're really passionate about, you don't feel like it is work to you, and you get so involved in that, and that could be your differentiator too, because that passion drives the trigger in you in terms of like how you demonstrate the value and the impact that you drive.
Anything else, Sujata, you'd like to add?
Actually, I missed the question. What was the question?
If you could go back in time and give your 20-year-old self advice, or give advice to a 20-year-old, what would you tell them?
Actually, I would say I have no regrets. I've changed many times my mind. You know, I started in my bachelor's was in electronics, my master's was in software, and I had a phase in between where I actually went and did some of the, you know, hardware stuff, and I realized I don't want to do that for too long because the feedback loop is too long. It took 6 months, you know, between my designing something to me making it work or seeing it work. And I was impatient. I said, oh, that doesn't work for me. Let me go to software, right? So I went into software, and I started in some place, and then I switched again and switched again. So I almost feel like, you know, have figured it out over time. And I don't think that's the only way is to explore and figure it out. So I would say to myself advice, you know, be exploratory and open-minded, and just switch if something doesn't suit you. So